Hello and welcome to the channel. In this video I will discuss about a recent happening in the India's atomic power sector, where one of the reactors of the Kakrapar atomic power plant achieved the criticality phase. I will discuss the technicality of this particular achievement with some inputs on the basics and facts about the nuclear science and the power plants as well. So let's start. So recently, the third unit of the Kakrapar Atomic Power Project, KAPP3 in short, has achieved its first criticality, and it has achieved this feat, that is the criticality phase, on 22nd of July morning. And this Kakrapar power station is located in the Tapi district of Gujarat, and this is the country's first indigenously designed 700 megawatt electric pressurized heavy water reactor, or PHWR in short, to reach the commissioning phase. However, the loading of the fuel into the reactor's core was completed in the mid-March time, and this particular fuel is consisting of basically uranium-235, which is a radioactive atom. Now, after that, many tests and procedures were carried out as per the NPCIL guidelines during the lockdown period, and as per the NPCIL officials, various experiments and tests will be conducted, and after that the power produced by this power plant or the reactor will be increased in a gradual manner. And the NPCIL stands for the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited, and so thereafter it will be connected to the western grid, where the power produced by this particular reactor will be contributed to the western grid, and this is the India's 23rd reactor to enter into the operation. And the first two units of this Kakrapar power station, atomic power station to be precise, they are of 220 megawatt electric each, and they are made on the Canadian technology. And this one is the third unit, and it is totally made in India with the indigenous technology and with the indigenous manufacturers of India, and the construction was completed with the help of Indian contractors. And the first pressurized heavy water reactor, that is of 220 megawatt electric, was commissioned in the year of 1993, while the second unit of the same capacity was commissioned in 1995 at the Kakrapar power station. And this one is the third one, and it is of the indigenous technology, and it is the front runner in the series of 16 indigenous 700 megawatt power pressurized heavy water reactors, which are under various stages of development at the moment, and slowly they will be commissioned. And this one is the KAPP3, that is the third unit, and there is another unit which will be commissioned in future, which will be KAPP4. It is also of the same 700 megawatt capacity and also made up of the indigenous technology. Now let's see some details about this particular third reactor. Now the site works at Kakrapar were completed by the August 2010, and first concrete for the third and fourth reactor was done in the November 2010 and March 2011 respectively. Now this concrete means that this particular concrete design is there in the atomic reactors to protect or to place the atomic reactors. The concretes are used, and this is done after the AERB approval, and the NPCIL awarded the reactor building contract for both the third and fourth reactor to Larsen and Toubro, and this costs around somewhere around rupees of 844 crores, and the original cost of the two 700 megawatt reactors was pegged somewhere around the 11,500 crores, and the tariff plan is also fixed at rupees of 2.80 per unit, that is kilowatt hour, at the 2010 price, and if it is calculated, it is coming somewhere around 8 crore per megawatt of electricity generation, which will be little less than the thermal power plants. And the fuel loading in the reactor core was done by the mid-March 2020, and these indigenous reactors have some advanced safety features like steel lined inner containment, passive decay heat removal system, containment spray system, hydrogen management system. But until now, the biggest reactor was there in the Tarapur, Maharashtra, which is the 540 megawatt capacity reactors, and there are two of them in there, Tarapur. And this particular new 700 megawatt electric of the reactor unit, addresses the issues of the excess thermal margins. By thermal margin, we mean that there is a margin between the operating temperature of the reactor and the maximum operating temperature that a reactor can reach during its operation. So there was an issue of excess thermal margins, which is mitigated by this reactor, and it is basically an improvement in the economies of scale without sacrificing much changes in the design of the old reactor. So let's see what the criticality means for an atomic reactor. Now, reactors basically the heart of the atomic power plants, and inside of these reactors a controlled nuclear fission reaction takes place. Now here mark the word of fission. Now this fission reaction, by this fission reaction heat is produced, and this heat is used to make steam or to generate steam, and this steam is ultimately fed to the turbines, and these turbines then produce the electricity or generate the electricity. Now this fission is a process by which a nucleus of an atom splits into two or smaller nuclei. Let's see this particular picture here. In this, a neutron is bombarded onto a particular atom, and this is nothing but a uranium isotope which is radioactive, that is the U-235, that is the isotope of uranium which is radioactive. And when the neutron is bombarded onto this U-235, it basically creates a splitting, nucleus is getting split into two, and ultimately the fission reaction is commencing, and it will create two lighter nucleus or the small nucleus of krypton and barium. Okay, krypton and barium, and there are byproducts such as these, and these are three neutrons. These are three neutrons which are byproducts, and this particular reaction releases energy, huge energy. This particular reaction is releasing somewhere around 200 million electron volts of energy. Okay, and this is the basics of the particular nuclear fission reaction. And now what happens in criticality, this particular neutrons, they what are created, they will be subsequently bombarded into different other atoms of U235, and again the same reaction is taking place, same splitting is happening, and then releasing of the neutrons will happen. 3 neutrons will be produced, 3 neutrons will be produced again, and from this also 3 neutrons will be produced, from this also the same thing is happening. Now this basically will create a chain reaction, and this chain reaction, when this chain reaction is achieved, that means a reactor is said to be commencing its criticality phase, and it is ready to produce the power. That is by using the energy that the particular reaction or particular fission reaction is releasing. Okay, so as it is seen here, the nucleus, when the nucleus splits, the kinetic energy of the fission fragments are transferred to other atoms. It is releasing the heat energy, which is eventually used to produce steam to drive the turbines. Now for every fission event, if at least one of the emitted neutrons causes the fission reaction, a self-sustaining chain reaction then took place. As we seen here, a chain reaction is happening, and this is nothing but the criticality. So a nuclear reactor achieves criticality when each fission event releases sufficient amount of neutrons to sustain an ongoing series of chain reactions. So this is all about the criticality. So now that we know about the criticality of a nuclear reactor, let's see how to control the criticality condition of the nuclear reactor. Now in this picture you can see this is inside the reactor, and these are the tiny rods which are fuel rods. Inside this fuel rods there is a uranium 235 is filled, and these rods, they are called the control rods, and they can be pulled down or they can be taken up as per the requirement. Now let's see what's the situation. Now when the reactor is starting up, the number of neutrons is increased, as we seen, that is by the chain reaction, and neutron absorbing control rods in the reactor core are used to calibrate the neutron production. Okay, so these control rods, they are made up of cadmium, boron, hafnium, indium. These are all neutron absorbing materials. They absorb the neutrons so that the nuclear reaction is controlled, and the deeper these rods are lowered, more neutrons will be absorbed by them and less fission reaction is occurring. So in the power plants, technicians basically pull up or lower down these rods to control the fission reaction, that is to say the neutron production, and that is how they are controlling the power as per their desire. And if something bad is happening, that is a malfunction occurs, technicians can remotely plunge or dip down these rods into the reactor core to quickly soak up or to absorb the neutrons and shut down the nuclear reaction. That is how they can control an impending accident in case of any malfunction. So now let's see the basic working of the nuclear power plants to get a bigger picture. So let's go there. So this is a schematic diagram of a pressure water heavy pressure a PHWR or pressurized heavy water reactor power plant, and this is the main area where the action is happening, that is the containment structure. And inside this containment structure, this is the reactor vessel here, and this is the pressurizer, then there is a steam generator. So first this is the reactor where the nuclear fission reaction is happening and by which a lot of heat is generating, and there is pressurized heavy water inside of it, which is nothing but deuterium oxide or D2O, and this water is boiled, or it is getting heated, and ultimately it came with the contact of this steam generator here, and there will be a separate water which is there, and after coming with contact with this heated water, this water will be boiled and this will be converted into the steam here, and this steam will be fed to the turbines here, and in this turbine the power is generated, and this ultimately generator, with the help of generator, and this will be fed to the electric lines or grids. And now what happens, this particular steam, they are condensed in the condenser and they are coming back to water again, and this cycle is goes on, as you can see. And then to control this or to cool down this particular water, there is a different water which is being circulated in this line. You can see this line where the cool water or cold water is fed, and these cold water then take the heat out of this hot steam, and thereby the condensation is taking place in this area. So this is basically the working phenomenon of a nuclear power plant, whereby there are three different waters. As the yellow or the orange color indicates, this water is the radioactive water, or this water is coming into contact with the reactors, and this is different water, this one. So this water is used to produce the electricity with the help of turbines, and here there is another water. This water is used to cool down the steam to condense it to the water again. So there are three waters here which are channeled. This one is the radioactive, this is non-radioactive, and this is also non-radioactive. So this is all about this. So let's see why this achievement is very significant for India. Now this 700 MWE reactor is the biggest indigenously developed variant for the PHWR technology. Now PHWR which is basically a reactor, has commonly used the natural uranium as its fuel, and heavy water, that is deuterium oxide or D2O, as its coolant or moderator. And this technology is basically the mainstay for the India's nuclear power program. And this PHWR technology was started in the year of 1960s with a joint venture between India and Canada Nuclear Corporation, by which the first 220 megawatt reactor was set up in the Rajasthan. And the second unit, India has subsequently lessened the import from Canada. First time India has cherished its indigenization plan in the setup of the nuclear reactors. And in 1974, during the Pokhran nuclear tests, there were subsequent sanctions for India in the using of the nuclear tests and the nuclear technology. Canada withdrawn from the plant, from the joint venture, and which put the Indian engineers to complete the construction, and the plant was made operational with the majority of its components which are made in India itself. And during the third PHWR unit in Madras, that is in Kalpakkam, onward the evolution and indigenization process has begun. The first two units which are indigenously developed has a 220 megawatt of the rating, and they are set up in the Narora atomic power station, which is in UP. And the biggest reactor size until now is of 540 megawatt, the PHWR technology, and two of them are deployed or set up in the Tarapur, Maharashtra. And so India basically has ambitions to ramp up its existing nuclear power capacity from 6,780 megawatt to 22,480 megawatt by the year of 2031. And to do that, this particular 700 megawatt capacity reactors, they will be the biggest component to achieve this dream of India or the expansion plan of India. So this is the significant for India. Now let's see the safety features of the PHWR and KPP3. The biggest advantage is that they are having the thin walled pressure tubes instead of a large pressure vessel. Now there are small tubes like this. There will be small number of tubes inside of the reactor core instead of a large tube like this. Now what happens, this structure is said to be something called a fail safe structure. In case of any accident, this particular structure is totally ruptured or totally damaged, thereby inducing a huge catastrophe. Whereas this one, if there is a small rupture in, say, this small tube, then there are other tubes which are still carrying the pressure, and they will distribute the pressure among them. So there will be better distribution of pressure boundaries in case of this. And next, there are some additional safety features like the passive decay heat removal system, in which there is a removal of decay heat in automatical condition without requiring any operator, and there will be steel lined inner containment to reduce any leakages in the containment area. We know that the containment area is having the reactors and the steam generators and other lines, pipelines which carry the pressurized heavy water. So in case, and this is made up of the concrete, and in case of this KAPP3, this is also having steel lined inner containment to reduce any leakages from it, because this is having radioactive elements or atoms, which if it is leaked to the atmosphere, it is detrimental for the humans and the animals. And it is also having the containment spray system to reduce the containment pressure in case of loss of coolant accident. And there is another system of hydrogen management system. Now these safety measures, they are on the lines of a similar technology for the international standard, that is in the generation 3 plus power plants, to negate the possibility of a accident which caused in Japan way back in 2011, which is the Fukushima type accident. So now let's see what are the different nuclear power plants in India. The first one is Rautwada, which is in Rajasthan, and this particular unit is in collaboration with Canada. And then there is a Kakrapar, which is in Gujarat. Then there is Tarapur, which is in Maharashtra, and here it is Jaitapur, which is also in Maharashtra, and it is in collaboration with the French, that is with the France. And here it is Kaiga, which is in Karnataka, Kaiga, and here it is Kudankulam, which is in Tamil Nadu, and it is in cooperation with Russia. And in Tamil Nadu there is another unit of Kalpakkam, it is also in Tamil Nadu. And then there is Narora, which is in UP, it is also. So these are the main atomic power stations in India, and the others, these are the proposed one, which are still yet to see the functioning stage. So let's see some more facts about this nuclear power in India. So until now there were 22 nuclear power reactors, and with the commencing of this KAPP3, this is 23rd. Till 1990s, Russia was a major supplier of uranium, and the waiver from the NSG, that is the nuclear suppliers group, it waived the sanctions on India so that the India could commence international nuclear trade. Later on, India signed the Nuclear Energy Technology Cooperation with US, UK, South Korea and Canada. India also signed agreements with the Mongolia, Russia, Kazakhstan, Namibia and Argentina for the new uranium supply. Now in 2011, there is a large discovery about the deposits of uranium which is found in Tumlapalli belt. It is in Andhra Pradesh and Bhima basin in Karnataka, and it is said that these belts, they are having potential of 44,000 tons of natural uranium reserve. This is one of the top 20 uranium reserves discovered in the world. And between 2015 and 19, Kazakhstan, the country of Kazakhstan, was the largest supplier of uranium. That is around 5,000 tons of uranium it supplied to India. Let's see some basic data about NPCIL, that is the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. It is a public sector unit or undertaking, PSU, headquartered in Mumbai, and this is responsible for the generation of nuclear power for the electricity, and this is administered by the DAE or the Department of Atomic Energy, and this DAE is headed by the Prime Minister himself. So this is all about this development. I hope the facts given were helpful to you. So I thank you for your time.